right, let's get back to the papers, shall we? And this interesting article in The Sun, Mark Halsey speaking to them about the referees and maybe some sort of investigation.
Yeah, so former Premier League referee Mark Halsey, he's basically demanded an independent investigation into the day-to-day management of PGMOL. He thinks that refereeing decisions at the moment, they're at an all-time low, obviously coupled with all the drama that's happened over the past week or so. Kind of like an Ofsted independent review into the day-to-day, what are these referees and officials actually doing, and how are they trying to progress the game kind of away from when they're actually on the pitch. Would this work? Would this fix anything? Can the trust be rebuilt, or are fans and clubs, is it too far damaged?
Well, they're dealing with a hell of a lot of stuff now, aren't they? Their job has been added by, obviously, VAR and the introduction of all the new laws that come into the game on a regular basis. He also mentions, which is the standard of the EFL. He said he's saying that there's lots of managers in that piece, lots of managers who are complaining about the refereeing standards. Right. Now, how much we know that, I don't know, but what I can say is that it is a problem, because it feels like the referee's job's nearly become impossible anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know how an inquiry might look at the reasons why. The obvious one is VAR.
Yes.
It's the obvious one is VAR.
Yeah. I don't know how far you can go with it, really, because ultimately you can't sack all these managers. You can't start again. Sorry, referees. You can't start again, because it takes a while to train them. That's why they're trying to fast track players, ex-players, to get into refereeing, which in itself has brought up issues, because there are a lot of people out there saying that's not fair on those referees that have been working for years trying to get up the different tier systems and aren't being given the same opportunity. I think ultimately some of the trust that you want to see is things like with VAR and some of those decisions that even more recently, I mean, again, going back onto that West Ham Manchester United penalty that in the end saw the end for Eric Ten Hag. Harold Webb himself has since come out and said that should never have been a penalty. Yeah. And it's those incidents where when VAR alerts a referee to a potential missed, shall we say, moment in a game, that a referee will go back and look at the monitor, and they'll instinctively, I'm sure of it, we all think it, will think, I've made a mistake. Why else would you flag this up? Even if they haven't and they think that wasn't a penalty, which I think was the case. I think that referee at the time didn't think it was a penalty. Yeah. But because Michael Oliver then flags it up, you're going to go, okay, it's Michael Oliver. Those are the kind of trust issues that we need to get back.
And you feel like you're being undermined. I think a referee would feel that on a lot of occasions. Yeah. That if they don't get the call right, there's going to be a backlash. Yeah. They can be made a scapegoat and they can get undermined. And we've got to be careful. We have to try and protect a referee to make calls, and yes, they're going to make errors, and understand that mistakes. Yes. Think of the system of if you make a terrible mistake, you're dropped for the next weekend. Yeah. I find all that a bit too heavy-handed.
But they're actually demoted.
Yes, okay.
And then how does that EFL side feel when you're like, you made such a mistake, now we get you? And then, of course, I get that in a way you need referees, so we don't want to be you're blacklisted because you made a mistake.
Exactly. But you can't be doing that.
It's very hard.
It's like everything in life. If you make lots of mistakes on the same issues, or if we were making mistake after mistake on radio every week, well, someone would be pulling us out.
Yeah,
but you back people. You give them show a bit of loyalty and say, okay, you didn't get this right, and try.
Do you know what? And you're absolutely right. And the other issue is, and I know Mark Halsey, Keith Hackett, they joined talkSPORT a lot, and we're always thankful for them to do that. But I'm sure they weren't perfect as referees. They would have made mistakes, and yet they're very quick to.
Well, you could say to them, imagine, Mark Halsey, you're refereeing today. Would you enjoy it? Would you like it? And they'd probably say not in the current standard.
No, probably not.
How difficult a job it is.
Yeah. I think as well, for the normal match-going fan, how much does an independent investigation review really, how much do you care? Do you want to see action? The normal match-going fans, they care about what's going on the pitch. Do you think they'll take to an independent review, or realistically they just want the decisions to be better?
Unfortunately, we live in a world where everyone thinks there's conspiracies all the time, and there's bias here, there's bias there, and even an independent review, someone out there will be like, well, is it really independent? So you're never going to please everybody, unfortunately.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.